mud and not so glorious mud. Day one of the Rally of Portugal was one of the roughest days ever on a World Championship rally, but still the fans came in their hundreds of thousands, even though by stage two, the whole Skoda team was already on its way home. When the stages are swimming in 10 centimeters of mud and littered with hundreds of boulders, it takes a brave driver to attack hard. But Tommi Mäkinen's bravery earned him a comfortable lead, even after moments like these.
Tommy, 17.4 seconds lead going into leg two, but with the conditions like this, it's going to be tough again.
Yes, for sure it is. Seems to be raining at the moment, and normally we are in very high altitude, and it can be also very cloudy.
Also in the points was teammate Freddie Loix in one of his best drives for months. Harry Rovanperä came to Portugal fresh from his debut win in Sweden. He was determined to show that he was no one-hit wonder. The Finn was second and was going strong when steam blew like a volcano from under the Peugeot's bonnet. He took water from a stream to keep the car cool, but the time it took to fix the car earned him a 10-second penalty. Didier Auriol dropped his Peugeot into a pothole the size of a basin and damaged the suspension. 3 rallies from 3, the Frenchman had struck bad luck. The only Peugeot driver unscathed was the current world champion Marcus Grönholm, but he was slowed by running in ruts carved by the cars in front.
What reports have you had back from your recce crews about their stages?
It's not so bad, okay, it's muddy, but there is also hard surfaces on some places.
Any change to the tyre configuration today?
Yes, now I try the other one, the normal tyre. Yesterday I ran with mud tyres, so I have to try something.
Apart from Rovanperä, the only other driver capable of keeping with Mäkinen was joint leader in the championship, Carlos Sainz. Third, the Spaniard was just happy to reach the end of what his co-driver Luis Moya called the hardest day of rallying ever.
Carlos, 17 seconds behind Tommy. It looks like it's going to be a tough day once again, though.
It looks like the weather is like yesterday. Even we have been reported that the stages are quite foggy, so I'm sure it's not going to be an easy day.
Colin McRae had called for the stages to be cancelled, but in the end he was put out of his misery by an engine fire, but he remained cool.
What's all this coming out?
Fire.
Fire extinguisher?
Yeah. After 3 rallies this year, McRae has no points. His title hopes are now severely dented.
And to left.
Like McRae, Petter Solberg was looking good for a points place until he broke his Subaru suspension.
Oh, jeepers.
With Solberg out, Subaru's hopes rested with Richard Burns. A fright, though, with 2 bulls didn't help his speed.
And flat left 20, flat left on crest in 30, flat right 20.
Hang on, easy left mind.
And flat left 20, flat left on crest in 30.
2 of the day's stages were cancelled, but Mäkinen made the most of the other 7 to open a 17-second lead to Sainz. Even with a penalty, Rovanperä's third is comfortable from Grönholm. A new day, but still the same drenched conditions for day 2. 9 stages, 177 kilometres, all to the south of Oporto, including 2 runs through the famous Arganil. Mud was the enemy on day 1, but on the hills above Tabua, fog was the problem early on day 2. First into the cloud was overnight leader Tommi Mäkinen, his worry that the relatively quiet Mitsubishi might startle the spectators. Peering through the mist, Mäkinen pushed as hard as he dared. On the harder stages down south, there was little advantage to running first on the road. Mäkkinen's bravery brought rewards. He was fastest through Oliveira de Hospital, even though his overalls had split from back to front. The rain in Spain might fall mainly on the plain, but in Portugal it falls everywhere. But still a wave of Spanish fans came to cheer on Carlos Sainz. Sainz started day 2 as he finished day 1, just wishing the rally was over. But his hopes of closing the gap to Mäkinen started badly on stage 11. He was a second slower than the Finn over the 24-kilometre stage. With the fog thickening, the drivers were now virtually on autopilot. Harry Rovanperä was nervous that he'd cooked his engine when the cooling failed the night before. He waited to see if it would hold up for another day and a half of vicious competition. Mind you, even if steam had started pouring from the bonnet, the Finn wouldn't have seen it for the fog, but he escaped stage 11 third fastest. Fourth overnight, Marcus Grönholm sensed that this was his day to make his move, except the world champion's eyesight is far from perfect in the fog, and he hates driving in the stuff. Grönholm lost 37 seconds on stage 11. Which meant that Richard Burns could sense, if not see, third place. The conditions, the faster Freddie Loik seemed to drive. Denson scraped signal commitment. He was 6th overall. Day 2 began badly for François Delacour. His gearbox started misbehaving, forcing the Frenchman to switch to manual mode.
100 mètres, dans 90 long rail.
The Hyundais were 9th and 10th overall, but Kenneth Eriksson lost his wipers. Not a good thing in the fog. Marco Martin was lucky to even make it to stage 11. His Subaru refused to fire up at dawn, losing the Estonian half an hour and meaning a mad dash down the motorway to the stage start. Many fans had come straight from all-night parties to watch the rally. At Arganil, the party, though, came close to being called off when at first a fire truck slid off the stage. And moments later, a safety car struggled to even get to grips with the mud. Wasn't much better in a four-wheel drive rally car. His Michelin's fighting to find something to chew into. Tommy Mäkinen floundered in the mud bath, but still set fastest time. By the time Sainz came through, the tracks were getting even deeper. But in the fog at the top of the hill, there was worse to come. Another safety car had slid off, but was stranded half on and half off the road. How Sainz missed it is a miracle. On the next slope, Sainz almost came to a halt. The stage now looked like the Somme, but the weather was not Harry Rovanperä's worry. His engine sounding rough, it had dropped a cylinder and the Peugeot was dying a slow death. Unable to make out shapes through the fog, it was playing havoc with Grönholm's eyesight, and he lost another 4 seconds to Richard Burns. This was more like the Rally of Great Britain than the Rally of Portugal, and Richard Burns looked right at home. But Burns also was blinded by the fog and had to rely almost 100% on his pace notes.
Medium left, tightens maybe to medium left. 60, flat right water to flat right water. 60, flat right, tightens water, an easy right plus in long water. 50, medium left in, and medium left.
Burns lost 10 seconds though when an electronics glitch robbed him of his dashboard display and his handbrake. Missed outside and missed inside the windscreen made seeing the major problem for Francois Delacour. He was now 7, a minute behind Freddie Loix. 3 minutes behind after his woes on day 1, Didier Auriol must have wondered why he was still in the rally.
Piège droite à fond, sur attention, gauche à 52, intérieur, pied droit.
2 stages down and Mäkinen still leading from Sainz. Rovanperä though in trouble. Grönholm 4th, Burns 5th, and Freddie Loix in 6th. After the dramas of stage 12, Tommi Mäkinen led the rally into the fast and furious stage 13. Carlos Sainz was still fuming about the near miss with the course car when he took his frustration out on the road, setting 2nd fastest time and reviving a hope of catching Mäkinen. The fog even lifted a little to help his cause. Harry Rovanperä's Peugeot was now sounding even rougher. Midway through stage 13, his speed had slowed dramatically.
Lyhyt oikea täys 7. Vasen helppo miinus pidä. Jatkaa pitkä oikea eri plus maali 7.
He made it out of the stage, but on the way back to service, Rovanperä's rally was over.
Harry, after such a great result in Sweden, a big disappointment for you.
Yes, absolutely. And rally starting well yesterday and today morning also everything's looked well, but something's engine problem coming and we don't know yet what is that, but rally is over.
With Rovanperä out of the frame, Peugeot had their fingers crossed that Grönholm would keep going. But the Finn was still struggling and the gap now to Burns was only 8 seconds. Burns had closed the gap by winning stage 13 by a whopping 6 seconds in just 19 kilometres.
Flat right, 70, crest 80, flat left minus, and flat left, 50, long crest, 70 over jump, flat left plus, to left max, to long crest 80, flat right minus tightens to flat right minus.
Richard, you won the last stage. Things going a lot better for you today.
Yeah, they are. I've had a little problem with the car through all the 3 stages, which has meant I haven't been able to see what gear I'm in, just something with the dashboard. But that caused a few problems in the 2nd stage. It meant that I went into a hairpin in 3rd gear, and when I dropped the clutch, I stalled, so I lost about 10 seconds in that one. Could have been a bit better, but I mean, I'm just driving as hard as I can in the fog and just listening to Robert as intently as I can, and having to trust everything he says. And it's working at the moment, but the risk is quite high.
Mäkinen came into service showing the emotional scars of fighting through the fog.
Well, just try to go flat out and see what happens. I'm sure also Carlos is pushing hard at the moment.
Sainz emerged tired, but still with the fire burning in his Latin eyes.
I've been pushing hard, yes. Quite foggy this morning. Quite difficult situations in most of the stages. It's very, very foggy and not so easy.
seems to be some of the top drivers, they can go very fast, but I don't want to take any risks, so it's very difficult.
François, 6th on the last stage, but it's difficult out there still with the fog.
Well, it's very, very difficult today with the fog, and it's maybe more difficult than yesterday, because yesterday we had a lot of mud, but today it's very, very foggy, and in this condition you have to take a lot of risks.
You had some gearbox problems, I understand.
Yes, a little problem with the gearbox, and I came back with a manual gear change. I think it's better. I'm more confident with the system like that.
The stare and the spit of Francois Delacour, showing the speed and stress of driving on the limit in less than 20 meters of visibility. So after stage 13, Mäkinen leading from sight. Rovanperä still on the leaderboard until the start of 14, although he's out. But a close battle between Grönholm and Burns building up. With the rain continuing to fall, the river levels continued to rise. The next stage was stage 14, a rerun of Oliveira de Hospital. And still there was mud everywhere. Likewise, the spectators. The fact it was a rerun meant that the bad conditions were for everybody this time. That meant a level playing field. But Mäkinen was feeling the pressure of heading the field for so long, and that pressure was intensifying. The first 5 cars were split by just 4 seconds, and Mäkinen's lead was now down to 24 seconds. Set the second fastest time, but he was beginning to feel that it would take a major mistake by Mäkinen for victory to land in his lap. Marcus Grönholm lost more of his cushion to Burns. 6 seconds now separated the champion and vice-champion. This was the start of an assault on the podium places by Burns. The Andorran tax exile was fastest on stage 14.
Right, go 60 braking, easy right 10, medium right plus. Tightens maybe
he and Robert Reed picking up the pace along the top of a blind cliff.
Minus and K-left plus Slippy, 60. Easy left, Slippy, 30. Right max and right max, 70. Slippy maybe braking, medium right plus 10. K right plus tightens, 50. Flat right, 30, easy right in, 30, K left, Slippy, 20, medium left, minus Slippy, 10.
Freddie Loik set the 3rd fastest time, but there was little reason to push. He had a huge cushion either side of his 5th place. Familiar face of Francois Delacour, gnashing his teeth, hyperventilating wildly. Delacour is the most physical of all the top drivers.
75 mètres.
For all his efforts, Delacour was 6th.
105 long, 95 cordes. 105 long, 95 cordes. Puis droite 115 bons long 2 fois. 115 bons long 2 fois. 100 mètres. Léger gauche. 100 mètres à l'arbre bord, droite 100.
Delacour moved into the points when the Hyundai struck trouble. Elsewhere on the stage, Alistair McRae had electrical problems, and here his teammate Kenneth Eriksson was 9th. Rally fans must rank alongside cross-channel swimmers and firewalkers in their taste for masochism, but this was a spectacle worth getting soaked for. On stage 15, Mäkinen lost a 1/3 of his lead with handling problems. But on stage 16, he made some of it back, but it had given Seitz a sniff at victory. Mäkinen wasn't the only Finn feeling the pressure. Grönholm was being hounded by Richard Burns. But Carlos Seitz hasn't won a rally for 6 months, and he clearly decided that the time had come to win again.
20.
Richard Burns edged to within 4 seconds of Grönholm in third place on stage 15, but on stage 16 the gap returned to 6 seconds. Burns had started to suffer power steering problems. There were big smiles at Hyundai. Alistair McRae was now 6th and Ericsson 7th overall. And a once-over in the service area put them back on song for a push further into the points.
You had those engine problems this morning. Have they resolved themselves?
Yeah, no, it seems to be sorted out. We have a problem now where the engine's not starting. We're having to push start the car, which is not ideal.
David's been out of the car giving it a good old push.
Yeah, doing some training.
Gremlins were the last thing Richard Burns needed as he prepared for a climax to a day in the clouds.
Problems with the power steering, I understand.
Yeah, through the second, the last but one we just did, just a couple of kilometres in from the start, the power steering sort of semi-failed. So sometimes I had it, sometimes I hadn't. So we lost 2 or 3 seconds to Marcus there, and then the next stage we had a problem with the gearbox, which they're changing now. So that cost us another few.
Burns was now the last remaining Subaru driver. Marco Martin had gone out in a crash. Also out, Freddie Leutz. He retired with clutch failure.
We don't know exactly what's happened, but in the long stage already in the start you had a little bit slipping clutch, and then we went into the second stage. Everything was going well. We did quite good time, and then in one time in the middle of the stage the clutch started slipping and we had to stop the car.
So at the end of stage 16, Mäkinen opened that lead again to 28.7 seconds from Sainz. Grönholm looking more comfortable from Burns. Delacour in 5th. Mäkinen had seen Sainz close the gap once and he knew it could happen again. So on stage 17, he upped the ante and took his lead to almost 30 seconds. But on stage 18, Mäkinen was eaten alive, losing 16 seconds of his lead to Sainz. With the fog all but gone, Marcus Grönholm could finally see where he was going and was able to defend his third place from Burns. Was Carlos Sainz, winning stage 18, put El Matador within 13 seconds of Mäkinen. And when stage 19 was cancelled, it left the duel for the lead wide open with 3 stages to go tomorrow. Burns had steering and gearbox trouble, and on stage 18, his claim to third place all but ended as he overshot a bend and lost half a minute.
60.
With Francois Delacour losing 3 gears, Alistair McRae was pushing for 5th place. In his eagerness to catch the Frenchman, he set 4th fastest time on the day's last stage. So at the end of day 2, Mäkinen leads by just 13 seconds from Sainz. Grönholm looks safe now in 3rd from Burns. Delacour, though, has got to watch out for Alistair McRae.
Richard, what happened on those last 2 stages?
The first one we still had a little problem with the gearbox, which cost me a few seconds, but then the last one I made a mistake with I was looking at the road, the wrong piece of road. We lost about 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and now when we have come 2 days, and so I want to finish also the 3rd, so my first finish this year.
13 seconds is not a lot, but it's also good margin, but we will see what is the situation tomorrow, what can we do, and how is the condition.
You're just 13 seconds ahead. Do you think that's going to be enough?
Of course I have to try to push hard and try to do my best, and no mistakes, whatever. I think it should be.
Well, Tommy, that's exactly what you said going into the final day in Sweden, and you threw it all away. Watch tomorrow and find out what will happen here in Portugal.